Don't toss these 25 kitchen scraps, grow free food instead. How much money do you think you have thrown straight into the trash this month without even realizing it? Every time you chop off the end of a green onion, peel a potato, or scoop seeds out of a pepper, you are tossing away something that could have become an entire plant. After growing my own food for years and testing this on nearly every scrap that crosses my kitchen counter, I can tell you that most of what ends up in your trash is actually free plant stock waiting for a second chance. You do not need a greenhouse, special equipment, or a green thumb passed down from your grandmother. All you need is a windowsill, a jar of water, and the willingness to try. Today I am walking you through 25 kitchen scraps you should never throw away again, because every single one can regrow into real, harvestable food. Stick around for number 17, it is the one almost nobody tries, and the bonus trick at the end will completely change how fast your scraps root. Let's get into it. Number 1, and the easiest win you will ever get in a garden, is green onions. If you only take one tip from this video, let it be this one. Save the white root ends roughly 1.5 inches and place them upright in a small glass with just enough water to cover the roots. Set it on a windowsill with good light and swap the water every 2 to 3 days. In as little as 2 days, you will see new green shoots pushing up, and by day 7 or 8, they are long enough to snip and cook with. You can keep cutting from the same base for weeks. Once it slows down, move the roots into a pot with draining potting mix for thicker, more flavorful stalks. Green onions grow indoors or out, tolerate light shade, and thrive in USDA zones 3 through 10. They are also forgiving of neglect, so even if you forget a water change here and there, they will bounce back the moment you refresh the glass. This is about as close to free food on autopilot as gardening gets. Number 2 is romaine lettuce, nearly as effortless. Save the pale stump at the bottom of the head, sit it cut side up in a shallow dish with 1/2 inch of water, and place it somewhere bright. Refresh the water daily. Within 4 to 5 days, tiny new leaves push up from the center, and it genuinely feels like watching something come back from the dead. Those water-grown leaves stay small, so once the new growth reaches about 2 inches, transplant into a pot with rich, well-draining soil and partial sun for a fuller harvest. Romaine grows best in USDA zones 4 through 9 and prefers cooler weather, so spring and fall work best. This trick works with butterhead, green leaf, and most loose leaf varieties too. Number 3 is celery, and this one shocks people. Cut the stalks off about 2 inches above the base and place that base cut side up in a bowl with warm water halfway up. Set it in a sunny spot and change the water every couple of days. Within a week, small yellow-green leaves emerge from the center, and by week 2, they are a few inches tall with tiny roots forming underneath, your cue to move it into a pot of rich, moisture-holding soil. Celery is a heavy feeder, so keep the soil moist and fertilize every couple of weeks. It grows well in USDA zones 2 through 10 and takes 3 to 4 months to produce full stalks. Homegrown celery has a much stronger flavor than anything from the store. Number 4 is one you have probably done by accident, potatoes. A forgotten potato covered in sprouts isn't spoiled, it's a free potato plant. Cut it into chunks with at least 1 or 2 eyes each, let the cut sides air dry for a day or two, then plant about 4 inches deep, sprouts up a foot apart in loose, well-draining soil. Potatoes grow well in USDA zones 3 through 10 in full sun. As the plant grows, mound soil or straw around the stems, a technique called hilling, to encourage more tubers. Harvest comes in 70 to 120 days depending on variety. Buy organic since conventional potatoes are often treated to prevent sprouting. Keep the soil consistently moist but never soggy while the plants are actively growing, and stop watering about 2 weeks before harvest so the skins have time to toughen up for storage. One sprouted potato can easily give you 5 to 10 new ones. Number 5 is sweet potatoes, one of the most satisfying projects on this list. Instead of planting the potato directly, you grow slips. Suspend a sweet potato halfway into a jar of water using toothpicks, set it somewhere warm and bright, and change the water regularly. Within 2 weeks, roots form on the bottom while leafy slips grow from the top. Once slips reach about 6 inches, twist them off and root them in their own jar. When roots are a couple of inches long, they're ready for soil. Sweet potatoes thrive in USDA zones 8 through 11, though cooler zone gardeners can start slips early indoors. Plant a foot to a foot and a half apart in loose sandy soil with full sun and expect 3 to 5 months to harvest. One sweet potato can produce a dozen or more slips. Number 6 is garlic. Every clove inside a bulb can become an entirely new head. If a clove is already sprouting in your pantry, it's halfway there. Plant individual cloves about 2 inches deep, pointed tip up, 6 inches apart, in rich, well-draining soil. Garlic does best planted in fall, 4 to 6 weeks before your first hard frost, then resumes growing in spring with bulbs ready by early to midsummer. It prefers full sun and grows well in USDA zones 3 through 9. Hardneck varieties send up curly scapes great for stir-fries or pesto, while soft-neck varieties are ideal for braiding and storage. One clove can grow into a bulb with 8 to 12 new cloves, which means a single head of garlic you buy for $1 or $2 can quietly turn into a lifetime supply if you keep saving and replanting a few cloves every fall. Number 7 is ginger, and if you cook with it often, this scrap saves real money. That knobby root is technically a rhizome, and it regrows readily. Look for a piece with small raised bumps, the growth buds. Cut it into sections, each with at least one bud, and let the cut edges dry overnight. Bury the pieces about an inch deep, buds up, in a wide, shallow pot with rich potting mix. Ginger loves warmth and humidity, thriving outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 12, but also doing well as an indoor container plant anywhere. Keep the soil moist but not waterlogged, give it bright indirect light, and keep temperatures above 60 degrees. You can harvest small pieces after about 4 months, with a full harvest around 8 to 9. One piece can multiply into several pounds in a season. Number 8 is tomatoes, and this feels like a magic trick the first time you try it. Slice a ripe tomato into 1/4-inch rounds, lay them flat on moist potting soil, cover lightly with more soil, water gently, and keep the pot warm with plenty of light. Within a week to 10 days, tiny seedlings sprout from each slice. Once they're a couple of inches tall, thin them and transplant the strongest into their own pots, moving them outdoors once nighttime temperatures stay above 50 degrees. Tomatoes thrive in USDA zones 3 through 11 and need 6+ hours of sun daily. Stake them, water consistently, and feed with a tomato fertilizer every couple of weeks. Most varieties fruit in 60 to 85 days from transplant, and because you are starting from a slice rather than a single seed, you will usually end up with several seedlings from one tomato, so you can share extras with friends or fill out a whole row. Number 9 is peppers. Sweet or spicy, all work. Scrape the seed cluster from the white membrane, dry them on a paper towel for a day or two, then plant a 1/4 inch deep in moist seed starting mix. Keep them warm, ideally 75 to 85 degrees, with plenty of light. Germination takes 1 to 3 weeks, and a heat mat speeds this up. Once seedlings have 2 sets of true leaves, move them to larger pots. Peppers love full sun and well-draining soil, grow well in USDA zones 4 through 11, and mature in 60 to 90 days after transplant. Every time you cook with a new variety, save the seeds and grow your own collection. Number 10 is avocado, one of the most famous scrap projects out there. Clean the pit, insert 3 or 4 toothpicks around its middle to suspend it over a glass of water, flat end down and barely submerged. Keep it warm with indirect light and refresh the water every few days. Within 2 to 6 weeks, the pit cracks, a taproot emerges from the bottom, and a stem sprouts from the top. Once the stem is about 6 inches with a few leaves, transplant into rich, well-draining soil. Avocados grow outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 11, but make gorgeous indoor trees anywhere. Give bright light, let soil dry slightly between waterings, and pinch growth around 12 inches for a bushier shape. Fruit can take 5 to 13 years, and there is no guarantee a seed-grown tree will produce fruit identical to the parent avocado, but as a fast-growing, glossy-leaved houseplant, it earns its spot on the windowsill right away. Number 11 is pineapple. Twist off the leafy green crown, strip a few lower leaves to expose stem, and let it air dry a day before rooting in water or planting directly. In water, roots appear within 2 to 3 weeks. Pineapples are tropical, best outdoors in USDA zones 11 and 12, but make excellent houseplants anywhere. Give bright direct sunlight, water sparingly, and be patient, since a container pineapple takes 2 to 3 years to fruit. Feed every couple of months during the growing season and use a pot at least a foot wide. Number 12 is strawberries. Slice thin strips of skin from a ripe organic strawberry where the tiny seeds sit, lay them on moist seed starting mix, press gently, and keep the surface damp in a bright spot. Seedlings appear within 2 to 3 weeks. Once they have true leaves, transplant into pots or a garden bed. Strawberries grow well in USDA zones 3 through 10, and everbearing varieties fruit from late spring through fall in full sun and rich soil. The real payoff is that healthy plants send out runners that root themselves wherever they touch soil, turning one small batch of seedlings into a full spreading patch within a year or two, all without you buying a single additional plant. Number 13 is basil stems. Trim a few stems about 4 inches long, strip off the lower leaves, and place them in water on a sunny windowsill, changing it every couple of days. Within 7 to 10 days, white roots form at the submerged nodes. Once roots reach about 2 inches, transplant into a pot with rich, moist soil. Basil grows beautifully outdoors in USDA zones 2 through 11 during warm months and indoors year-round anywhere. Pinch off flower buds and harvest from the top to keep it bushy. One bunch can give you a dozen rooted cuttings. Number 14 is cilantro, following almost the same process as basil. Strip the lower leaves from stems with a couple inches of stalk, place them in water, and roots appear within 1 to 2 weeks. Transplant into well-draining soil in partial shade, since cilantro bolts fast in heat and prefers cooler conditions. It grows best in USDA zones 3 through 11, ideal for spring and fall. The trick is succession planting, starting a fresh batch every couple of weeks. Bonus: if a plant does bolt, those seeds are coriander, a completely different spice. Now, if this list is already changing how you look at your kitchen scraps, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel grow, and it means you won't miss the next video where I show you how to keep these regrown scraps thriving through winter. We are only halfway through the list, and honestly, some of the best ones are still coming up. Alright, let's keep going. Number 15 is mint, and you'll never buy it again after this. Snip a few 4 to 6 inch stems, strip the lower leaves, and place them in water. Roots can appear in as little as 3 to 4 days. Always transplant into a container, not the open garden, since mint spreads relentlessly. It grows in USDA zones 3 through 11, tolerates full sun to partial shade, and is nearly impossible to kill. Spearmint and peppermint root effortlessly. Harvest frequently, and one bunch can produce 10 or more new plants. Number 16 is lemongrass, a scrap most people never think to save. Find fresh stalks with the base intact and a root nub visible, trim the tops to about 6 inches, peel dry outer layers and place in a jar with an inch of water. Change the water every couple of days. Roots develop within 1 to 2 weeks along with new green growth. Once roots are a couple of inches, transplant into rich, well-draining soil. Lemongrass thrives outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 11, but grows well in containers anywhere. Give it full sun and room to grow, and within a few months you'll have a fragrant clump perfect for soups and teas. Number 17, the one I told you to stick around for, is fennel. Almost nobody realizes the base of a fennel bulb will regrow. Cut the stalks about an inch above the base, keeping the root end intact, and place it in a shallow dish of water in a sunny window. Within days, new green fronds sprout from the center, carrying a delicate, licorice-like flavor great on fish, in salads, or pasta. Transplant the base into rich soil and it will keep producing fronds, sometimes even a small new bulb. Fennel does best in USDA zones 4 through 9, full sun, well-draining soil, and its feathery foliage attracts beneficial pollinators. This is genuinely one of the most overlooked scraps in this entire list, and once you try it, you'll never toss a fennel base into the compost bin again. Number 18 is bok choy, working almost identically to lettuce and celery. Cut the leaves about 2 inches above the base, place it cut side up in a shallow dish of water on a sunny windowsill, and new leaves emerge within 3 to 5 days. After about a week, transplant into a pot or garden bed with compost-rich soil. Bok choy is a cool season crop, growing well in USDA zones 2 through 11 between 50 and 70 degrees and tolerates partial shade. Most varieties harvest in 40 to 60 days from transplant. Number 19 is leeks. Keep the bottom 2 to 3 inches, including the root base, place it root side down in a jar with an inch of water, and set it somewhere sunny. New green growth emerges within a few days. Keep harvesting from water or transplant into rich, well-draining soil for a fuller plant. Leeks prefer USDA zones 3 through 9 and full sun, growing slowly over 90 to 120 days, though you can snip tops earlier. They're cold hardy enough to overwinter under mulch, so one leek can keep producing for months. Number 20 is turmeric, regrowing almost exactly like ginger since it's a closely related rhizome. Cut a piece with visible buds into sections, let them dry a day, and plant about 2 inches deep in rich, moist soil. Turmeric thrives outdoors in USDA zones 8 through 11 and does well indoors anywhere else in bright indirect light and temperatures above 60 degrees. Full harvest takes 8 to 10 months, though you can dig around the edges for smaller pieces earlier. Fresh turmeric is a vivid golden orange and dramatically more vibrant in flavor than the powdered jar. Number 21 is carrot tops. You won't regrow a full carrot, but there's still a payoff. Cut about an inch off the top and set it cut side down in a shallow dish of water. Within a few days, feathery green leaves sprout, edible and mild like parsley, great in salads or as a garnish. Transplant into soil for even more vigorous growth. Left long enough, it will bolt and produce viable seeds you can save to grow full carrots next season. Carrots grow best in USDA zones 3 through 10 with full sun and loose sandy soil, and even if you never let it go to seed, the fresh greens alone are a reason to keep every carrot top you would otherwise scrape into the trash. Number 22 is beet tops, behaving almost identically to carrot tops. Cut about an inch off the top and place it in a shallow dish of water. Within a few days, deep red and green leaves emerge, packed with nutrients and great sautéed or in smoothies. Transplant into soil to keep leaf production going, and like carrots, a beet top left long enough will go to seed for next season. Beets thrive in USDA zones 2 through 10, preferring cooler weather and full sun to partial shade. Number 23 is butternut squash. Every one you cut open has a cavity full of seeds. Scoop them out, rinse off the pulp, dry them for a few days, and store until planting season. Plant about an inch deep in warm soil after your last frost, or start indoors 3 to 4 weeks early. Germination takes 7 to 14 days in soil above 70 degrees. These vines need full sun, rich soil, and 4 to 6 feet of sprawling room or a trellis. Butternut squash grows well in USDA zones 3 through 11 and matures in 80 to 110 days. One squash can give you enough seeds for an entire row. Number 24 is pumpkin, nearly identical to butternut squash. Seeds scooped out while carving or cooking are completely viable. Clean and dry them, store until spring, and plant about an inch deep in warm soil once frost danger passes. Germination takes 7 to 10 days, and the vines grow fast and sprawling. Pumpkins need full sun and plenty of space, growing well in USDA zones 3 through 9 and maturing in 90 to 120 days. Smaller varieties suit backyard gardens and cook better than giant carving types. One pumpkin can supply hundreds of seeds. The 25th and final scrap is watermelon. Save seeds from a seeded watermelon, rinse and dry them, and plant about an inch deep in warm soil after your last frost. Seeds need soil above 70 degrees and sprout in 7 to 14 days. These vines need full sun, plenty of water, and at least 6 feet of room. Watermelons thrive in USDA zones 3 through 11 and mature in 80 to 100 days. Keep soil moist until fruits reach softball size, then ease off watering to concentrate the sugars. You'll know it's ready when the nearby tendril browns, the underside turns creamy yellow, and it gives a deep hollow thump when you knock on it. Growing a full-sized watermelon from seeds you saved at a summer cookout is one of the most satisfying full-circle moments in all of gardening. Now, here is the bonus tip I promised, a genuine game changer for anyone rooting scraps in water. Most people just leave cuttings sitting in a plain glass for days, but the fastest way to strong roots is dissolving a tiny pinch of ground cinnamon into the water each time you change it. Cinnamon has natural antifungal and antibacterial properties, protecting the cut surface from rot while it's most vulnerable, and it seems to speed up root development compared to plain water alone. Combine that with changing your water every 1 to 2 days, and that's the closest thing to a shortcut this whole process offers. Try it on your next batch of green onions or basil, and you'll notice the difference within days. If this video helped you rethink what actually belongs in your trash can, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. New gardening videos come out every week, and I would love to have you back for the next one. And if you try any of these 25, especially that fennel trick from number 17, let me know how it goes down in the comments. Now go raid your fridge, save those scraps, and grow something amazing.